Before there was Zinchenko, Timber, Calafiori, Tomiyasu. There was Sunday League's very own inverted fullback, keeper. Now it helps when you keep it. Smash the like button, big up the Twitch gang. Let's start getting into it.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. Smash the like button if you're on YouTube. I know you sing along to the intro. It's lit. Like. Yeah. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, big up you lot, whether you're on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you're following. Make sure you're following on Playmaker as well. And big up, or Playback TV. I keep calling it Playmaker because some of you would have been there yesterday. We did a stream, and there's a lot of interaction you can do. So there's a lot to do on that platform, people. Make sure you're following my second channel now. First things first, we've got to have manners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope you're all blessed. Mileage, you're a hater, man. When DG took that shot, he had his eyes closed. That just tells me I'm wavy. I can't lie to you. That just tells me I'm wavy. If that's what I could do with my eyes closed, but hey, I mean, Arts Galley as well, same way. But yeah, you threw me off, big him up. And obviously, we need to get you back on the platform. Actually, Miles has his own YouTube channel now, something that's been overdue. Again, go and support him and go and subscribe and do all those things. But yeah, we've called for transfer business. Again, I probably came online at the right time because some of you would have seen Fabio Vieira apparently has gone back to Porto. Mikel Merino, it finally looks like we're about to get the guy. Agreements have been reached. He's flying to England. If not, he's probably here already. So yeah, big up you lot. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, in some cases, good night. Again, Mikel Arteta's had his press conference and we're playing tomorrow, which I will be doing a watch along. So yeah, man, join me. The work doesn't stop. Appreciate it, man. I'm a one goal wonder. Hey, you lot, remember he said I'm ready, just message me, yeah? Remember he said that. I'm going to shout him as soon as this live stream's finished. Remember he said that. He left me on red. Boy, it's Pete. Fabio Vieira been sold. Honestly, it looks like he's gone out on loan, and surely if he's going on loan, there's a couple of falling out points. That could mean, for me, the minutes are going to Ethan, because let's be honest, big up Fabio Vieira. I think he's got a talent. I think he's very likable, but you've not really done anything, really. I think I'd rather see Ethan play in the 10 or in the 8 or play out wide. And where young Ethan's concerned, with Smith Rowe gone, with it looking like Nelson's gone, with it looking like Fabio Vieira's gone, and he's probably going to be in the matchday squad again tomorrow because he didn't play for the under-21s. Give him the minutes. Second of all, whether I rate Fabio Vieira, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, or Emil Smith Rowe, again, surely the club are trapped. We've been linked with Nico Williams. Surely bodies are coming, really. We've got what, maybe 11 to 12, at best 14, at best you could say 16, 17, depending on what happens. We've probably got 11 to 14 players. We probably need 16 or 17. A couple of young players can make up the difference if we want to compete properly in the Premier League and the Champions League. Now, generally last season, we had a clean run with injuries, but I do think where you look at the North London derby, Declan Rice came off. We had no control in midfield. You look at the December period, we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. When our players have run out of steam, it does feel like there's a bit more that's needed. Again, the market closes on the 31st of August. Who knows? The club might pull a rabbit out of his hat. I don't think we're going to get Nico Williams. Of course, 100% I want to be wrong. I didn't think we'd sign Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez or Aubameyang, so that might be a positive omen. Didn't expect the Fabio news, to be honest. Neither did I, really and truly. Neither did I. I thought he'd be given another year. I thought he was a body. I don't know if Arteta's made it clear that the next step for you is probably to go on loan. I don't know if Fabio Vieira pushed to go on loan. I don't know if either party did anything. And, Porto of Portugal, they just said, you know what, we'll have him back. We need his position. He needs to get game time. He needs to stay fit, but he needs to get game time. I can't rule out anything, but for me, once you go on them kind of loans back to Portugal, if he went to Spain, I'd say the same thing. But it just feels like where Fabio Vieira is concerned, do you make it back from these loans? Because at the end of the day, he can play as an 8. And let's not get hung up on the 8. Let's just say midfielders. It's fair to say Declan Rice is going to play ahead of you. Thomas Partey, even if he's fit for 5 games, is a better option than you. Who else? I've said Declan Rice. I've obviously said Thomas Partey, Jorginho's more trusted than you. Obviously, Moreno's coming in. Ethan's probably ahead of you in the pecking order, and I'd rather Ethan get the minutes because at least he's a young player. There's light at the end of the tunnel. He can play off the right. He has played off the right with Mikel Arteta. That's not Fabio Vieira. But at the same time, obviously Fabio Vieira is not nowhere near a Cole Palmer or a Phil Foden, but they don't get shrugged off the ball and they're still able to effectively affect a game in wide playmaking positions. So why can't Fabio? It's a shame because it's 30 million down the drain and he's a decent player. He's actually a decent player, but beyond the occasional moments, you look at Fulham last season at the Emirates, Manchester United, that goal against Brentford. There's a couple of great moments from Fabio Vieira, but then you're scratching your head really. Like his career hasn't really taken off at Arsenal. Feel sorry for him because when he signed for us, obviously Odegaard and Xhaka were there, and since then things have changed. But the one consistency has been you have not played. So I'd have to see really. Fabio seemed to lack character. Best of luck to him though. I can't comment on him because I don't know him as a person to say he lacks character. But as an ignorant fan, I don't think he's ever with it. I don't think he's good enough off the ball in all the other aspects Mikel Arteta demands, especially defensively. I don't think he's ever grabbed fair enough, you could sit here and say, rightly so, you need a run of 5 to 10 games to show what you're about. But I don't think in the minutes he's been afforded, he's taken advantage of such. So this is where we're at, if I'm honest with you, man. So yeah, it did take me by surprise. Shout out, broski. Been long on here. How are you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm looking forward to Carnival weekend, man. Arsenal just need to get 3 points, especially against Unai Emery. And then it's Carnival Monday and Sunday. Well, yeah, Monday and Sunday. I'll try my best to get content out. But if I'm MIA on my platforms, you know exactly where I am. But yeah, Tuesday we go again. Nobody expected it, but I think everyone should expect the unexpected. And to be fair, the only reason I'm a bit nervous about Fabio Vieira departing wait 1 second. What's going on there? I've got a notification. Apologies, folks. I hope this don't turn off. Yeah, it looked like there was going to be an update. My laptop was going to update and we'd be in problems there, wouldn't we, Machine? But the only thing I would say with Fabio Vieira is like, you have to expect the unexpected. We're getting better as a team. It doesn't make sense to keep holding on to players. Sometimes you just have to cut your losses, if I'm brutally honest, man. It just hasn't worked out for him, and it's an L from Mikel Arteta. Again, fair enough. He needs games. You can't rule out Fabio Vieira returning to Arsenal and doing amazing, but you never know what the landscape is going to have, because unless he is twice, even 3 times the player he is right now, do you really see him pulling up any trees as a midfield option? Do you really see him giving Martin Odegaard issues up there? And to be fair, if anything happens to Martin Odegaard, Fabio Vieira would have probably been an option in that 10. I'd rather see young Ethan play there. I personally think Kai Havertz will play in the 10 if anything happens to Odegaard, purely because of the off-the-ball things that Mikel Arteta demands. And Havertz can match Odegaard for that. Of course, on the ball, he can't talk to him, but it's needed, man. What are you saying, DG? Going to hold a little wine? Hey, no. Hey, you're going to get me in trouble. You're going to get me in trouble, man. Deluded. Fabio Vieira is better than Odegaard, bro. WTF we doing? I'll take your word for it, man. I'll take your word for it. Me personally, I don't defo don't believe that. I think Odegaard's got more ability in his right foot than Fabio has in his left. It's a myth, man. That's 4 on loan and probably be 5 when Tini goes somewhere. And I guess so, because assuming Ramsdale goes on loan, then there's an option rather than an obligation. Lokonga's obviously gone. Fabio Vieira would be another. There's a couple of players that we're gonna have to deal with next season. And to be brutally honest, Kivior, what's happening there? I did kind of think more players would leave beyond the obvious, because 3 players technically in the first team missed out in the Arsenal Wolves game. Merino came in. That means obviously more body. So you did probably expect people to go, but numbers are leaving in an attacking sense. And again, Fabio and Nketiah, assuming Nelson goes, Smith Rowe, they've all been on the peripheral. Like the vast majority of last season, you guys were not relied upon. You lot didn't do the business. You didn't do what Trossard did. You didn't do what Kai Havertz did. You didn't do what Saka did. Martinelli didn't really do anything last season, but he played games. So it's an interesting one. If Eddie goes, we'll defo bring in someone. I thought Eddie'd be the first out the door, if I'm honest with you, out of the half the names we're speaking on. Why are we loaning out players when we need to sell? I hear you, but is there a market for Fabio Vieira? No, I don't want to say that's a cop-out, but is there a market? Is anyone going to bid 30-odd million that we spent on Fabio Vieira? Or could going back to Porto, getting some game time, being in similar surroundings, get you back in the shop window, either to make it at Arsenal or elsewhere? I'm not sure, man. I didn't think he would be someone that they would let go, man. I said we should loan Fabio back to Porto the other day. I think he did, man. What's the lottery numbers? Or you might be an ITK on the sly. I thought Kivior and Nelson would be gone, to be fair. We're linked heavily early in the window. I mean, they could still go. You can't rule out anything. But it's like, are Arsenal going to let you go? because we're not going to get the finances we want? Do we have to be open to you going on loan? Rather selfishly, while we need to upgrade on Nelson, and we've already done it in Kivior, do we hold on to these players as bodies? They're freeing up space for a potential attacking arrival. Must be. And boss, it must be. It must be. There has to be. I mean, I do think Mikel Arteta and everyone connected at Arsenal has a lot of faith in our existing options. But if anyone gets injured, we're in issues, really. You know, we're fairly well stocked defensively. In midfield, on the face of it, we are. Again, I don't think it's as strong as I make out in midfield. The attacking sense, I'm kind of comfortable with Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli, Saka and Havertz, but I would like another striker. And as a minimum, an inside forward has to arrive. Nico still seems like a dream, if I'm honest. For me, it's a dream because he's made it clear he wants to stay at Bilbao. Obviously, Barca seemed to be his first choice. That never happened. Yes, he's got a release clause. And yes, in FIFA, you activate the release clause, you get the player. But no club is going to activate any player's release clause unless there's a definitive answer, a bit like with us with Partey. And that didn't happen with Arsenal, Man United or Chelsea for Sesko, unless you get such. So I do think Nico Williams would be a blockbuster signing, but that's as far as it goes. It feels like it's too late in the window. That's without even considering the fact of Bilbao need to find a replacement. Unless there's been some talks for a while in the background that we don't know. Obviously, we've got a Spanish influence. Hopefully, Mikel Merino has Nico Williams' number and he's able to say something. But yeah, who knows? And will we even get a deal done in time? Look how long it took to get Calafiori and Mikel Merino through the door. I'm not sure. Timber, a midfield option, potentially as well, if I'm honest. Merino arrival plus Ethan Nwaneri reduces minutes, and 24-year-old needs regular football. He does. He's 24, like you said there. Like, he should be in his prime. We should be looking at Fabio Vieira to a degree in the same way we look at Trossard. Whether Trossard starts or he's on the bench, he's a trusted member of the squad. A lot of us forget Fabio Vieira is here. You know, but a lot of us probably forgot he was here until obviously this news has come out. I can't lie, on popular opinion, I think Arsenal should sign Wisa and move Martinelli in the middle. When you run with your head down and you're not aware of your surroundings, you're better off playing striker. I hear it, but if his head is down, you can't play in the modern day up front. And that's before we even talk about Martinelli's hold-up play. So I would like to see Martinelli long-term become a striker. That's where I see him, but I don't think you're ready for that now. And we're trying to fight Liverpool and City for a title, man. We can't really do too much experimentation. I thought Fabio Vieira was supposed to be the next Bernardo Silva, mate. What's going on here? Who said that, man? One of my friends is a Liverpool fan. And after the Euros, they said they should sign that Georgian keeper. And now they're signing him. Outrageous shout from him. Fair enough. Lottery numbers, though. Nelson has to go, even if it's a loan to put him in the shop window. He'll get 0 minutes at Arsenal. He's not even the backup to Saka. I mean, surely at this point, Nelson goes. Again, early doors of the summer. We saw in The Athletic, the very same articles we're about to go over, in that he's made it clear he wants to leave. The Leicester thing didn't work out. Still think you could get game time there. West Ham didn't work out. So he probably needs to. But from a selfish club point of view, Nelson ain't going to play too many minutes. You're right. But do you keep him as a body? Whether he's able to effectively affect the game for us and help us in our pursuit of trophies is another thing. But could that be something? I don't know. We can't leave the squad short also. It's looking a bit short. Like, one, Mikel Arteta and Edu have to have had a plan if all these players are going. But, you know, I think everybody felt our squad was short before the transfer market opened. So, like, if we just imagine that all of these players who have left or in the process of leaving, and Calafiori and Mikel Merino didn't arrive, I think everybody thought our squad was short. I think everybody still thinks we're short up front and in midfield. So where does it leave us? And Mikel Arteta did say in February we've got one of the smallest squads. I hope we don't shoot ourselves in the foot in that regards. But you're right, we can't leave the squad short, man. Big up yourself, North Gooner, and make sure you're hitting the subscription buttons. But yeah, let's see exactly what's being said in the media, people. The first thing, I imagine all of you lot know about this at this moment in time, but for what it's worth, Arsenal reached Mikel Merino agreement with Sociedad, says David Ornstein last night. Arsenal have reached an agreement in principle to sign Mikel Merino from Real Sociedad. Arsenal have agreed to pay 33.5 million in brackets 28.4 million alongside 5 million in variables to secure the services of the midfielder, who's expected to agree a 4-year contract plus a club option of a further year after undergoing a medical. The Athletic previously reported that the North London club had stepped up their efforts to sign Merino, who has a year remaining on his contract. We finally got there. Think we need at least 2 players plus a goalkeeper if Ramsdale leaves. Again, even that, before we didn't even speak about Ramsdale, we need another number 2. And the club were linked with signing 2 goalkeepers, technically 3 if we count David Raya, but a second and third choice. So there's still a lot to do and time is ticking. So yeah, man, we all at this point we know where we're at with Mikel Merino. I've got a video coming out, another tactical analysis at 8 p.m. around Merino, but at this point we know all about the player. We all know he had a year left on his deal, and we're gonna keep saying the same thing. So let's crack on, people. Apparently, he's to undergo his medical to complete his transfer. 5 hours ago, it was reported that he's traveling to London, and some of you would have seen such on social media, to undergo a medical and thus complete a move to Arsenal. Once again, he was left out the matchday squad. Obviously, we've agreed a fee. He said his goodbyes on Friday today, people, and he's set to sign a long-term deal with Arsenal. Probably not going to sign in time to be in contention for the Aston Villa game, but you'd imagine he'd be involved in Brighton on the 31st of August, I believe. So yeah, carrying on, people. Again, his manager has said, let me say thanks to Moreno. He has been fantastic, and I'm proud to see him now making this step. So yeah, big him up, man. He's currently traveling / has traveled already. Some of you would have seen, some of the images of him leaving, Spain and obviously going. Again, he got praised by their coach. So yeah, man, what do you lot make of this in as well? The Sociedad coach said, I feel proud he has taken this important step of going to Arsenal. I mean, big him up. I think we're all proud that it's just finally gone over the line, people. The idea is for Mikel Merino to catch a plane at 2:10 in Honda Ribia, I can't pronounce that, to head to London. He'll undergo medical tests before signing as an Arsenal player. So that was a couple of hours ago. So, God willing, he's traveled safe. Him and his family, they're here, and formalities are going. Moreno does not move the needle 1 millimeter. I think that's harsh. I think he does. I think he raises the floor, not necessarily the ceiling. I think he's 28 and he's proven. I think he's durable. He's played almost 40 odd times in the last 6 years. That's something Jorginho and who's the other one? Thomas Partey can't say. He's 28, so he's different to what we have. So he knows his role. He can play as an 8, play as a 6, get some stability down that left-hand side. I know he's not a sexy signing. I don't think he makes me think, wow, we're closer to City, especially now that Gundogan's returned. But I think you're being very harsh on him in a circle, man. I think Moreno's a decent one. Nico is an overrated Doku. I think I disagree. His decision-making is good. And I've actually seen Nico Williams play decent against fullbacks in their prime. Jeremy Doku seems to only turn up against fullbacks that are, the wrong side of 30. Raises the floor, but that don't move the needle. I hear it, but if we buy correctly, suddenly, indirectly, the squad's better. I mean, I wouldn't put that on Mikel Merino. That's more on the club, really, But yeah, man, hopefully he does his thing. And for me, there's now a consistent partner for Declan Rice. You'd imagine Declan Rice goes back to playing as a 6, but you never know. They're both multifunctional. You don't get picked for Spain centre mid for nothing. Moreno is a very smart buy. Baller. I'm sure Arteta is looking at a possible attacker in the Lookman / Williams mode. It would be negligent otherwise. It would be. Oh, I do like Ademola Lookman, man. And at 26, it seems like after some good periods and some bad periods, he's found his feet. But I just don't buy the rumours. Of course, I'd rather sign Williams. Lookman is probably more attainable, but it seems PSG are on the case where he's concerned. Moreno is a baller. He can play anywhere on the field, literally anywhere. He's a dual monster as well. Very good passer on the ball. I think it's calm, man. Mikel has shown a lot of trust in Ethan as a possible backup to Odegaard. Moreno, Ethan, Rice, Odegaard, Partey, and Jorginho is a pretty solid midfield. Yeah, until, but when you break it down, Partey's going to get injured, unfortunately. Jorginho's going to pick up some knocks. I'm only really expecting Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Moreno to really be the bulk of that. And then obviously I want Ethan to play and whatnot, but he's a young man. I feel a lot of people that are waffling about Ethan playing, when he makes a mistake, they're not really going to want him. And no one cares about young players developing when you've got 10 must-win games and you're trying to win the league. But big vote of confidence, man. Doku's a baller, man. He just needs to sort out his decision making. I would have taken him at Arsenal. I've been watching him since he's 16. You can actually go and look at my videos on my channel if you care enough to go back that far. Do you think if we had Xhaka last year, do you think we would have won the league? Yes and no. Yes, because I think his mentality would have helped. But no, because how do we close the margins? We missed out on the league by like 2 points. A lot of that was because while our game management and defensively we were great, we shot ourselves in the foot a lot of the time. We couldn't put the ball in the back of the net against West Ham, and several times during the December period. Chelsea, we took an hour to turn up. The first North London derby, we dropped points from winning positions. So I don't. It's not that Xhaka don't help with that, but Xhaka don't help with that really. So. If you're asking me if Xhaka was in our starting 11, would we have won the league? I don't necessarily believe so. If we had a striker or another wide man or someone that could score the goals to turn draws into defeats into draws into 3 points, then yeah, I'd entertain that and say you're right. But nah, man, I did miss Xhaka, but it worked out for him because at the end of the day, he's won the league title. So yeah, man, Moreno's on his way to London. If he isn't here already, he seems to be an Arsenal player. One footballer that's probably in the, about to get on a plane and go to Portugal is Fabio Vieira. Just before we went live, you would have seen the news that Fabio Vieira could be and will be departing. Romano has offered his thoughts as well, but David Ornstein said 11 minutes ago, Porto agree loan deal for Arsenal midfielder Fabio Vieira. Porto have agreed a deal to bring Arsenal midfielder Fabio Vieira back to the club on loan. As we all know, Fabio Vieira joined us in July of 2022 for around 40 million euros, so 33.2 million. Hasn't worked out. He's under contract until 2027, so it's a fair amount of time. Oh, wow. He made 22 appearances in his debut season. He played more than I thought. And again, the Athletic is saying with Mikel Merino's arrival, with Ethan emerging within the squad, who looks better in midfield than Fabio, in my opinion. Of course, it's been in pre-season. It doesn't make sense for the 24-year-old really to stay at the club. And it looks like to get game time, he needs to go elsewhere and play on a regular basis. Obviously, the 24-year-old will not be part of Mikel Arteta's squad for the visit to Aston Villa on Saturday. Will Eddie Nketiah, because with Moreno arriving and Fabio Vieira, we're all kind of forgetting that it seems like, Nottingham Forest are very close to signing Eddie Nketiah. So will he be involved? And what does our squad look like for the Villa game? Because worst case scenario, obviously Fabio Vieira and Eddie, they're not in contention. I guess Nelson is, so we'll have to see. So yeah, and a big theme as to why it ain't worked out, in my opinion, for Fabio is injuries. He featured in 15 games across all comps for Arsenal last season, scoring once and 3 assists. So again, the best ability you can have is availability. That's something he's not been able to have. He did have groin surgery in February. Did actually pick up a knock a few weeks ago as well. So yeah, people, he weren't involved against Wolves. So yeah, we wish him all the best. Hope he can do a thing. Hope you can get capped for your country, Portugal, by the time you return to Arsenal in some capacity. Who goes into that position? Nobody in our squad other than Ethan and Fabio fits Odegaard's role. Probably Havertz for what it is off the ball, but he could look to do such. I'll be happy until Nketiah is gone. Not sure what you mean by that. You can just tell by the comments, some of these people don't watch other teams play. Moreno is more of an attacking midfielder than anything else. He's just very good at tackling. I wouldn't say he's an attacking midfielder, but generally I get you. Wish Fabio all the best. Don't think he's good enough, but hopefully we can sell for good money on the back of a good loan. Hope that, man. Yes, an upgrade on players who got 0 minutes. In a circle, I just have to say, I hope Moreno can prove you wrong, man. As I always say on my platform, don't tell you what to think, just think, man. So yeah, man. No, you did lose the league against Aston Villa and playing for a draw at the Etihad. Again, Aston Villa, the 2 games against Aston Villa in the December period, and obviously at the turn of this year, we shot ourselves in the foot. Should have killed the game. But even if we did play for a draw, if we had won against Spurs, against Chelsea, against Aston Villa, ×2, against Fulham, ×2, and many others, nobody cares about playing for a draw. One thing that gripes me about football fans is playing for a draw against City for numerous reasons. When we went out there and we tried to go gunshot for gunshot with teams, they called us naive. When we were spot on defensively, we're now negative, and people say, oh, Arsenal not entertaining. Don't they? These same people say boring teams win leagues. People say City's boring, so we ain't got a chance. And how did we play for a draw at the Etihad? We had chances where we could have won. Naturally, we're going to be switched on defensively. I hate this narrative that, oh, you played for a draw against City and da-da-da-da. Had we have lost that game, these same people saying that would have said, oh, well, you should have been a bit naive. You was naive. Our issues were not against the top 6 last season. Yes, we shot ourselves in the foot. I sound like a hypocrite, but we were spot on against the top 6. We lost the games once again against the small teams. There's actually mathematic possibilities that you could actually have a horrendous top 6 record and still win the league. But I guess it sells papers, man. Fair enough, man. I like how fair you are. I appreciate that, Jordan, man. Yes, it's on the club failing to make signings that make us more dangerous. Defenders and DMs don't do that. Defense wins titles. But yeah, we could do with some attackers, man. Of course, never going to happen, but he would rip centre-backs to pieces, can dribble, shoot, strong as an ox, would be fantastic in the hole. Who we referring to? Smash the likes, people. Otherwise, high bills income and tell them again. Havertz in Odegaard's role, but what if Jesus gets injured? Who goes up front? We are cooked, man. One injury will destroy us completely. Listen, I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta because he's going to have to work these things out, and you are valid. Apparently, I mean, how far does this go? But for what it's worth, apparently, Athletic Bilbao's Nico Williams is Arsenal's preferred target for a wide player in the last week of the window. Although there's an acceptance, they may have to wait for a major move. That's great. I can deal with waiting, but you need to do something. You need some sort of contingency plan. And again, I don't know how long you would have been talking to Nico Williams, but to be trying this in the last week, it's a big ask. Mikel Arteta is now keen to increase the options in his forward line, with the London club set to secure Mikel Merino from Sociedad, as we know. One issue influencing recruitment, however, is Arsenal effectively operating off a different budget depending if a player is named target or not. Hell does that mean? Anywho's, it isn't quite a case of the club just being willing to pay a certain amount for a necessary position. Arsenal are willing to pay what it takes for those specific name targets they feel would be certain starters, as could be seen with Declan Rice last summer. Williams would be seen as falling into that bracket after his performances at Euro 2024 and has a release clause of 48 million. The current feeling is that he doesn't want to leave Athletic this summer, having been given the number 10 shirt, and that his medium-term aim is to go to Barcelona. His preference is to play in Spain. So we can target him as much as he wants. If we take this for gospel, it's all fun and dandy wanting these targets and saying we tried to go for these names and we're trying to find those players to take us to the next level, but we're being told why it's not going to work. And to be honest, even if you sat there mid-season and said you're going to look at Nico Williams, of course the Euros, for anyone that wanted Nico Williams, is bad news because now there's a fight for him. I think the worst thing is him signing that new deal. But if we're going for him in the summer, we had to have known a few months ago that we're doing this. And I only say that to say, if you can't get Nico Williams, you need to try something else. So there's no excuses, really. That's great, but need to get something done by the time the window's shut. While Arsenal are currently considering a move for the last week of the window, they are likely to switch strategy if they cannot sign the 22-year-old. Arteta would instead seek a Trossard-style purchase of someone who wouldn't necessarily start all the time, but offers something different when he does come in. The budget for such a player would be far lower. Does that scream loan deal for Raheem Sterling or unknown young player that we could develop? I'm not sure. As Arsenal reserve major offers for starters they absolutely want. I'm not going to lie, this article is a whole bunch of nothing. If I'm honest with you, this is great. I'm not criticizing them, but what are they saying that we don't know? It's just hella paragraphs for no reason. We know how the approach has been influenced and whatnot. Arsenal went into it primarily looking for a top number 9 with Alexander Isak the main target. I mean, that's great. I love that, but it weren't going to happen with Newcastle. Apparently, we decided against Ivan Toney. Obviously, the pursuit of Benjamin Sesko did not work. Pedro Neto had been raised as one, but he's gone to Chelsea, and it has said last line here, Ademola Lookman remains an option. Something that's come out in the last 24, 48, 72 hours about Lookman. Mikel Arteta has explained the delay in regards to his contract talks. Allegedly, he said, the focus has been on the transfer window. We have had quite a lot of things to do and discuss. We're on it. We'll take care of that at the right moment. Fair enough. And then he said, he joked, I didn't say last month. And then he said, I am very grateful, first of all, for where I'm sitting and the people I work with every day, because it's really difficult to find that harmony, trust, belief, and alignment in the vision. True. It's something I always mention because I believe we still have an unbelievable time ahead of us. It's very exciting and I'm very excited about it. I see today and tomorrow that is the reality as managers, and we have to live with that urgency. Looking 2-3 years down the line, you have to plan, because what happens to the club afterwards, depending on how good the results we get are, that's it. That's the reality. In the meantime, do your best and enjoy it if you can. Fair enough, Gaffer, man. Again, Ornstein has spoken. He said, in the past, there was Pedro Neto, who Arsenal decision makers were big fans of. The one that Mikel Arteta and those involved at Arsenal really like is Nico Williams, but he's the apple of everybody's eye. The problem there is he's already on really high wages, which would only increase when he comes to a league such as the Premier League, and a release clause in his contract that would need to be paid in full. It would appear he's going to stay. That's true, but if you want the Osimhens, the Nico Williams, who else is there? Them kind of players there, it comes with the territory, just like when you spent what you spent on Kai Havertz and Declan Rice. So if we're 100% convinced, go after these guys. If you got Isak, best case scenario, Moreno came in, Calafiori came in, you got Isak and Nico Williams this summer. The wage budget on top of just handling these new contracts would have been a madness. But we are going to get into that scenario. You want the best, you have to pay the best, really. It's like any other walk of life. Of course, you could scout and find some unknown targets that can develop. But even if you find that guy, even if we found, I don't know, a random 19, 20-year-old winger, and in the next 3-4 years he develops, he's going to eventually be on big wages, rightly so. So we'll have to see. Apparently, Arsenal are not exploring a move for Raheem Sterling. Football London understands. Mikel Arteta said on that, he said, no, I can talk about my time with Raheem. It was exceptional. We built a really strong relationship together. Romano said no talks taking place with Arsenal or Aston Villa so far. Raheem Sterling's been aggressively linked with Aston Villa, but apparently wants to stay in London, and he's still simultaneously being linked with Crystal Palace. Could he go Fulham? In relation to Ramsdale, 1 minute it's Wolves, then it's Bournemouth, then it's Ajax, and then it's now again Southampton. Allegedly, they stepped up their interest in Aaron Ramsdale. They wanted a loan for 2.5 million with 80% of his wages paid, which doesn't interest Arsenal. As it stands, it's though that Arsenal want double plus 5 million plus majority of the wages covered. And apparently Southampton have other options. And even that with Bournemouth, who have been linked with Aaron Ramsdale, apparently they're going to get Kepa on loan. I think Ornstein also tweeted that. In relation to Ademola Lookman, apparently we're keeping track of PSG's negotiations with him. According to a report from Florian Plettenberg, Paris Saint-Germain have reached a verbal agreement with Atalanta Ademola Lookman as the French Giants look for some cover for the injured Ramos. PSG have been keen on Lookman, who has relaunched his career at the Italian club. The forward has had some much-needed consistency during his time playing under Gasperini and shot into the headlines when he scored a hat-trick to win last season's Europa League against Leverkusen, who until that point had not lost a game for their entire campaign. PSG are leading the race for Lookman, but Arsenal are keeping close track of ongoing negotiations. PSG may have made progress with Lookman, but Plattenberg writes that their negotiations with Atalanta have stalled. Arsenal thought to be keeping close track of the situation, with the London club ready to swoop in if PSG cannot forge a deal with their Italian counterparts. Where are we at with Lookman, people? Are we going for that? Once again, a verbal agreement with Lookman and PSG apparently has been reached. This week, we also have been linked with Osimhen. Allegedly, we're back on the trail of Victor Osimhen. Napoli had started with the intention of demanding his 130 million euros release clause to be paid in full, but is now evaluating the idea of accepting offers of at least 100 million euros. So where Osimhen, Nico Williams, Gyökeres, Ademola Lookman, I'm sure a lot of us fans have small hope that we bring in another attacker, people. Gunners make Victor Osimhen U-turn as striker moves draws closer. What does that mean? Oh, well, it's just said we haven't given up on Osimhen. This has said a swap deal could potentially be possible with Lookman, assuring Kivior wants to go the other way. But Kivior rejected Bologna here in the Champions League. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure when you win the Europa League, you get a Champions League spot. If they do, Atalanta have that. Atalanta play great football. Gasperini has, rejuvenated a lot of careers and actually has some ballers. And to be honest, Atalanta are signing a couple of players to have a competitive side. Kivior, you need to go get games. But that's reliant on Kivior wanting to go. And he's been linked with AC, Inter, and obviously Juventus. Juventus have brought in another defender. Where does that leave him there? And the Inter and AC links seem to have gone dead. So where are we at with that, man? It's a bit of a madness. Lookman deserves all that's coming to him. He's been putting in work and his karma's coming heavy. You do the work in the dark, you shine in the light. I wouldn't be mad at Lookman, but I'd rather someone else. We need some bodies, though, if all the exits come off. These outgoings are making me more hopeful of an incoming. We went the whole last season with no major injuries. I think you boys forgot who bad it gets when the bench is called up. We didn't really go the whole season without injuries, did we? Because Thomas Partey was injured and there was a couple of little niggles and knocks. Zinchenko the same. And Mikel Arteta keeps coming out and saying, listen, we've basically done very well keeping Benjamin White, Saliba and Gabriel specifically fit. That's always not going to be the case. And also, the less opportunities to rest players or have other options, you're running other players into the red zone. Last season's luck doesn't always transpire. Just because everybody stayed fit last season does not mean that's going to be the case then. And I just don't agree with it. Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Jorginho, several players had knocks and played with injuries. We kept the majority of the squad fit, you're right. And we had a clear run with it, but I don't think that's entirely true. You always talk sense when talking about Arsenal Football Club. Keep up the good work. And not everyone agrees, Mark, but I appreciate that. We're not signing any expensive players this window, except it. I mean, typically the quality, or in theory, quality comes at a cost. But for me, if I've seen us spend a lot of money and not always convinced. So I just want the right players. Of course, as an ignorant fan, yes, I want to see 100 million players in the same of Declan Rice and to get excited about. But as long as they're right, I'm all for it. I agree. I want Eze not seeing him against a low block, but the signs look good. I'd love Eze, man, but is it going to happen? Eze would be great off the left, great in the 10. It'd be amazing, man. Koza Drewbury should not have been let go. Jesus and Trossard were our second choice wingers, and he could have been an option should injury hit. Now Brighton going to sell him for 40 million. That's why you need to sort out the contracts, really. We're at his mercy. Eze is the missing piece. No, there's no better player profile that we need than a player like him. Prem proven, can play cam, left, right wing, and even as a false nine, and he's big pause. Arsenal becoming a giant size. I hear it, man. I hear it. I mean, anyone that thinks we don't need extra bodies is capping. Fabio Contrao is available. DG, would you take him? not pessimism based on evidence. We see what happens when key players get injured. Arteta does not trust the bench to start. I hear it. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that, but there's no denying the squad is quite thin and we could do with bodies. Man. Moreno cannot play Odegaard's role. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. It's a 6 or an 8. I don't know. I don't want to see Moreno in the 10. Fair enough. And let's just play players where they should be. Gabriel Jesus, Timber as well. Jesus, Partey, Timber, Tomiyasu missed most of the season. Lookman is a very good shout and is attainable. His profile fits what Arteta needs, in my opinion, and can perform off the left and the right. Saka, Odegaard, Havertz, Rice, Saliba, injury, and it's dangerous zone. We did get lucky last year. We got to make our own luck, man. We've got to make our own luck. We can't deal with any injuries. And even that, as much as I think we had a quote-unquote fairly fair run with injuries last year, you don't want to be betting on that again. Like, you need depth. We're still not at 100 likes, people. We're at 92. We can do better than that, people. I believe in you lot. Should we see what Mikel Arteta has got to say on the eve of us playing Aston Villa, which... Emre, don't ruin Carnival weekend. Italian sources are not very good. I'm more than happy to talk about rumors and transfer news and all of that sort of stuff with you guys. But for me, until people are holding shirts and scarves and saying they grew up watching Thierry Henry and all of that stuff, I try not to get excited, man. On Mikel Merino, of course, Mikel Arteta was going to say we cannot talk about players that are not at the club. On whether we'll see something soon, obviously he's going to play Koi. On Eddie Nketiah, which... still going to play Koi. He said, I expect Eddie to train with us today and be prepared for tomorrow. Then whatever happens, it will happen if it's good for everyone. So that tells me, you know what? Eddie might not be as close to joining Nottingham Forest as reports suggest, but it's getting ever closer. He needs to fulfill his job. And then obviously after that game, we'll talk on whether the players feel it's their time to win the league. They should do, after flirting with it. There's been a lot of foreplay the last 2 years, not enough penetration. So they should. He said, I always feel we need to believe in our players and trust them. That's the only way to get the best out of your team and the individuals. And we always have them. If it's to achieve one level, that's something else. But obviously we know what we want: to perform at the highest level in every game to earn the right to win it. Tomorrow is no different. It's the second game. And that's what we're going to do. Amen, Gaffer. On why Aston Villa beat us twice last season. For me, at the Emirates, we didn't kill the game in the first half, and then you play with fire, you get burnt. At their place, we just couldn't finish our dinner, man. If I'm honest, they dominated every aspect of the game. When you give them space to run, they're phenomenal. When there's no space, they have to find it. They can do that in any restarts or set pieces. They're at it. And Emre, was the guy for set pieces at Arsenal before we got Mikel Arteta. And I'm sure you watched all the highlights from Aston Villa. Telemans, if you don't follow runners, Telemans could put some good crosses in, man. So I think he's right. Obviously, big up all the Spanish influence and better yet, Basque managers in the Premier League, but we don't need to worry about that. He said there's no WhatsApp group. We have all spoken about Timber potentially playing in midfield. He didn't exactly, he didn't exactly say he could play in it, but he said he can play in various positions. His versatility is one of his biggest strengths. He's been out for 11 months and it's great to have him back. He played some quality minutes the other day like Alex did as well. I think Alex was really good as well, especially in the first 60 minutes against Wolves. Having the capacity in the squad to change things around and find other things that the team needs in that moment is something very valuable. I mean, I'll back every player, and I guess Zinchenko will start based on winning the last game part. For me as an ignorant fan, if Calafiori and Timber, if they're fit to start or at least give us an hour, Gaffer, can we play one of those? It's scary, we're playing the villains. I don't really want to see Zinchenko against Leon Bailey, but I'll back you all the way, man. On how he's found the last 2 seasons mentally, obviously he said it's great, but in the end it didn't come to anything. When asked on Declan Rice in the 8 or the 6, I'm happy he agrees with me. He said, I think both. At his age, it would be a big mistake not to do that and not to have the capacity to play in different positions. Then within the game, he will have a different role in relation to the opponents and what they do. Last year, he showed he has the ability to shift from one thing to the other, sometimes within the same game, and with the short squad that we have, that's really important. And that is really important. But what did we just talk about? Mikel Arteta saying we've got one of the smallest squads. Short squad. Now, for a team that for the last 2 years has ran City to the wire, well, mainly more last season, is that terminology we should still be seeing? Let's get a move on Edu and Arteta in the transfer market. Obviously, our away record last season was amazing. I don't need to waste time on that. Saka's going to keep breaking records until the day he stops kicking the ball. On Timber being fit for the weekend, he had a really good pre-season to a point. Then we had to stop him because he had a little issue there and we didn't feel like he was ready. We have to build him up. We have to be cautious. So I'm not sure. So that probably rules out Timber starting. Hopefully Calafiori can start. I do expect to see Zinchenko. Of course, big up the 5 Arsenal players that were nominated in the PFA Team of the Year, people. On if we're looking to recruit players before the end of the window, we have to, because anything can happen both ways, especially in the last week. You have to be ready, especially in the last week. You have to be ready and be prepared, because a lot of surprises can come for many different reasons. We are prepared. We've gone over the transfer stuff, people, and we've gone over Mikel Arteta's contract stuff. We'd love to get a result over Aston Villa and Emre, but it's deeper than just that, in my opinion. On selling academy players, he said, I wouldn't differentiate it, because Arsenal and many other clubs have sold older players. They're part of the squad. You cannot differentiate it. They are getting sold. Now you've got a player who wants to go, sometimes because the club needs to, because both of them agree that it's the best thing to do for the sake of their career. Those players have been at the club for a long time, whereas with foreign players, maybe that doesn't happen. I wouldn't look at it that way. I think it's important when we make a decision, or a player makes a decision, we are fully aligned. In the case of Emil, it was clear he expressed a desire to play more in the last 2 seasons, and it's very understandable. You can't stand in the way of someone who has given you so much. Fair enough. On the importance of the way he communicates, it's difficult not to create more problems. It's very important, because in the end, you're representing the club, the team, and the players. You guys have to understand what we do and express that in the right manner, and understand where you guys are coming from as well. It's very important every single time we're here in front of the media representing the club. It's a huge thing, obviously. Fair enough, people. On being sat in the stands last season, that was, that was mad. On Raheem Sterling, where it gets interesting, my time with him was exceptional. I think we built a really strong relationship together. He was unbelievable at the time. We worked together, and he taught me a lot as well about individuals and how players think, how we give them support, and how to help them. He's someone that I really have strong feelings about. I don't even think you've spoken about your wife like that, Gaffer. But anyways, on the size of the squad at Chelsea, obviously it's nothing to do with us, but would like us to have a bigger squad, so I'm not going to waste time on that. So yeah, people, that's all Mikel Arteta has had to say, really and truly. On the topic of Moreno, shameless promotion, people, but another tactical analysis video is coming out from me. What other content have I got? We've got an Aston Villa watch along to be dealing with tomorrow evening, people. I hope to see you lot all there. And if you're not, smash the like button. Let's make the YouTube algorithm go crazy. And that's just me watching potential Arsenal targets, man. So yeah, people, that seems to be everything. What else are you lot saying? I don't get it. Mikel Arteta talks about fine margins, and yet we continue to play someone in Zinni who we as fans know he's a liability against certain teams. But Arteta can't see that. Make it make sense, Gaffer. Trossard last season just passed the ball to Martinelli against City, and against Aston Villa scored from 2 yards out. And that's the thing, players have to put the ball in the back of the net. But at the same time, players make mistakes. These things happen. It's going to happen. Trossard's human. And as much as he did that, 9 times out of 10, he stood up to be counted for us. And I've always said, if we can think about the 1-2 moments, then what else was we doing in the game? Because scoring is one thing, conceding is another. We can't win them all, man. You go in Carnival more than one day. I don't know. What's Carnival? I don't know. Probably, maybe. No. People are watching. We have enough midgets at Arsenal. We need to go back to the Vieira Carnu days. Waleed, it's a bit harsh, because Moreno's over 6 foot. Rice is over 6 foot. I think Saka's technically 5'11", but he's got height. Timber's 6 foot. Obviously, Saliba and Gabriel, I've already mentioned them. Probably Raya's probably one of the shortest in the team, which football's changed, really. Imagine Williams and Saka blowing down the wing with Trossard and Martinelli back in the beef when it gets tough. We won't need a striker with those options. I can't lie. You're right, we wouldn't. But this is where, I always ask, do we do the best of both worlds, where the existing options are doing their thing and you get that sick number 9 that we all want and that crazy winger? Or do you say, you know what, Kai, you're going to be the striker. We've got Saka putting up numbers. We're going to find the next one putting up the numbers like a Nico Williams. You lot make the difference. We could do that, really. But at this moment in time, there's too much unanswered questions, man, up front. I believe in Kai Havertz. I think you've given me some comfortability in that, and I think you look a lot confident. But are you going to score goals for the whole season? I hope so, but it remains to be seen. Trossard, are you going to get the goals you did last year? Martinelli, are you going to return to what you was a few years ago? Jesus, are you going to stay fit, let alone at least get double figures? I said I'll delete my YouTube channel if he doesn't get 50 league goals. Yeah, we're in trouble. Saka's the only one I'm like, yeah, cool. And obviously, set pieces, other players have chipped in. Moreno probably get a couple. Declan Rice had his best goal scoring season last year. I do expect Declan Rice and Moreno to actually chip in that regards, but how far does the chip in thing go? I'm not sure. Looking forward to see how the left side is unlocked with Moreno in midfield. Amen. Shout out Leeds. No clue on the relevance, but shout out to you. You watching the United game? Yeah, we will. I haven't set it up, but we will be doing a watch along for Brighton versus Man United. I'm gonna go gym in the morning, quickly run, shower, and then we're there, man. So yeah, 2 watch alongs. Righty and Co had a great take on Righty's house about Chelsea. Big up them, man. So yeah, what else have we got? So yeah, man. Hopefully we do something. The only team that can get injuries and not suffer is City. Everyone else just have to hope for the best. They do suffer because I look at when they played us. They had, for whatever reason, they had no Rodri, they had no Kevin De Bruyne on. Anyone's going to miss Rodri. A lot is going to be said about that. But I think they miss Kevin De Bruyne. Again, you look at someone like Haaland, and I'm jumping the gun a bit, even though, to be fair, we are playing City soon. I think they're gonna have to find a way around that, because as much as I feel Haaland's, general plays improved, we all know Haaland is a bit like a throwback striker. No service, no food being cooked. It's like someone who can't cook. If you don't cook, you're gonna die in it, or you're gonna starve. If the people behind him don't cook for him, lay it on a plate, he's in trouble. And beyond obviously us setting up great and our 2 centre backs standing up tall, City have to find a way around that. So everybody's going to miss everyone. But you're right, City are the best team to cope with depth. You know, would it be too far fetched to say Manchester City have the best depth in world football? Other than that, like, who would have the second best? I mean, Chelsea by default, because you got bodies upon bodies upon bodies. But like serious teams, I want to say Real Madrid, but I don't necessarily need that. We don't need Lookman. We need a 6'5" tall striker. I hear that. Haaland ain't in trouble. 91 goals in 100 games. I never said he's in trouble. I just said he's a service-reliant forward. And you know, if you lose Kevin De Bruyne, there's a correlation with a lack of creativity and a lack of service for Haaland to put the ball in the back of the net. I definitely don't feel like that. To be fair, man, let's not use insulting words like dumb. I don't think any Arsenal fan in this chat is expected to get Nico Williams. There's more hope. If we can't pull the rabbit out the hat with Williams, we'll probably leave it as it is, with the options of Ethan also being able to play out wide. He can, but he's still a young man. Like, we don't want to, for me, I don't want to do the Saka thing anymore. Let the young player be the young player. Let him thrive and make sure people are doing their job. Just like what Foden ironically had at City. It's like, you don't want to live or die by his performances. It's like Kobe Mainoo, as great as he is at Man United. There should be quality surrounded by him. If we stay with the same options, then I hope for the best. And yes, they've been challenging, but it feels like we would have shot ourselves in the foot. So yeah, man. Arteta knows about Zinni. That's why we kept playing Tommy at left back. Oh, it'd be lovely to have Tomiyasu tomorrow. Boy, this is why you need depth, innit? Tomiyasu injured. I'd imagine Timber plays some part, but I'm not going to get what I wanted, where you at least give me an hour and then Calafiori comes on. You know what, Zinni? I have faith in you, man. It's not going to be pretty, but Zinni, do your thing tomorrow, man. And it'd be lovely to have Tommy. But yeah. And yeah, we did cover that. Fabio Vieira has gone on loan. Spurs getting a few injuries too. It's Pete. I think Kai can play that Firmino role and let the wingers bag the numbers. I mean, he's our false nine, isn't it? He does all of that. He's very different to Firmino, of course, 100%. But yeah, he kind of banking on Gabriel Jesus to get back to form as well. That's one player. Him and Martinelli, I'd love for them to just get double figures, man. I'd love it to happen, but it's easier said than done. And in reality, we don't know what this season is going to have in store for us, man. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns, bumps and bruises. But I think one thing all of us will agree is the first 5 games now, well, 4 now, because we've got Wolves over the line. It's about time we done something against Una Emre. We've seen this football script already. Let's dent that. We've got the North London derby coming up. We need to be winning that. Manchester City's a 6-pointer. If you can't win, don't lose. As we, took 4 points off City. That was good. That's the first time in a while. I'm 29. I remember Arsenal versus Manchester City. That weren't a thing. It was Thierry Henry just turning Danny Mills and them kind of players over. Then for a large period of my life, Manchester City just recording cricket scores like Kevin De Bruyne. We spoke about Raheem Sterling. You had him, the Sergio Agueros. Boy. And then we got to a point where it was a bit more competitive, but fundamentally we're still losing. Last season we done all right. In fact, the last 3 times, including the Community Shield. Hopefully it continues, man, because Pep ain't going to mess about. It could be his final year at City. Gundogan's back as well. So, boy, it's a techie one, man. But on that note, there ain't nothing else for me to speak with you lot about. So I don't want to waste you lot's time, people. So, yeah, I appreciate you lot's conversation, your differences of opinions, your questions, keeping me updated with the news, all your engagements and whatnot. If there is any other emerging news, I bring out videos and live streams. So yeah, make sure you're turning on your notification bells, you're following, and I'll see you lot all when I see you lot, man. And on that note, Peace.
Get against this right back, Charlie.
Always